Awesome.
Hello and welcome to Sports Intellect Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about yesterday's match, CSK versus RCB. Probably a lot of Chennai fans finally relieved. And I think the images coming out of Jadeja's catch of Dinesh Karthik is precisely what CSK fans are feeling. And then we are also going to be focusing on today's match. Mumbai Indians versus Punjab Kings, and where Mumbai Indians fans will be hoping that their team turns it around as well. I have with me Abel, Sanjeet, and a new member, Sandipani. So welcome to the show, guys.
Hi, hi.
Thanks, Jerin. Thanks,
All right,
Jerin.
I think I'll start with Sandipani himself. Finally, CSK have gotten off the mark and have turned it around. Do you think this is the start of new tidings for the CSK fans?
Yeah, I think CSK have proven it in the past that once they win one game, they carry on with the momentum and they make it 2, 3, and then the wins continue to come. But I think they still have a concern in the bowling department. With Deepak Chahar's fitness being an issue, like I don't think that he'll take part in the rest of the IPL as well. So with him gone, there's going to be a place. Chris Jordan has not been filling in the role, like has not got into the team quite nicely. I don't think he's 100% fit as well. So I think Dwayne Pretorius can come in for Chris Jordan, and also Mukesh Chaudhary had a bad day, both with the ball and in the field. Even though he dismissed Kohli, but after that he was taken to the cleaners by Kartik. So I think bowling is a concern for CSK, but we have some bright, they have a bright prospect in Mahesh Thikshana, has been the new marvel for them.
I think interesting to see that Mahesh Krishnan, there was a lot of talk about him. A lot of Tamil fans were upset, and then a Sri Lankan spinner in Mumbai wins them the game. So very, very interesting actually how the match progressed yesterday. And, his role was really important because taking 4 wickets in a high-scoring game is very important. But I'll get to Abel. Disappointment for you, I think RCB losing yesterday. Probably did not see it coming, did you?
To be honest, no. But then such as IPL, you have to expect these losses once in a while. And as Sandipani spoke about Deepak Chahar for RCB, one of the biggest misses has been Harshal Patel. Harshal Patel has been controlling RCB's middle overs throughout this IPL. The way in which he has been coming in, balling those off cutters and controlling that phase. Also in the death, he has been a vital cog for RCB. But if you look at yesterday's match, that was missing, and that's one of the reasons why Faf du Plessis was looking for a fifth bowling option as well in order to fill in that boots. And he had to look everywhere. For example, he went for Maxwell, and Maxwell was taken everywhere on the path by Robin Uthappa and Shivam Dubey. And if I talk about even Shahbaz Ahmed, Shahbaz Ahmed is probably not the most accomplished spinner, and that's one of the reasons why Chennai were able to accelerate from being 65 for two in 10 overs to 100 and 216. If you look, they have scored almost close to 160 runs in 16 overs, and last 6 overs they considered 93 runs, and that's where you lose games, right? And death overs is where RCB has been struggling in the past, and that's coming to haunt RCB again. And another major reason also is that Siraj hasn't really turned up to the IPL as many people have expected him to. He's not yet been the Siraj we know of him, because I can't really find a possible reason for it. I reckon it's possibly because of him given a specific role as to he should be bowling in the opening burst and through the middle overs, and him not focusing much on death. But as IPL started, maybe his roles would have changed, because Hazelwood was missing, of course, in the first 3 games, and where he was put up in the death overs as well. That's why you saw him go for runs even in that Punjab game, and also during the Mumbai game as well. He was taken apart by Surya Kumar Yadav, and yesterday was another clean example. But RCB will take a lot of positive from the way in which Dinesh Karthik has been batting, and also from the way Maxwell looked. And I've been a huge fan of Suresh Prabhu. I've been talking about him for a very long time, and he looked very good as well. So another player from Goa, I think he's probably the third player from Goa to ever play the IPL after Swapnila Snotkar, Shadab Jakati. And this lad looked very confident, because it didn't look like he was making an IPL debut at all. Because the kind of shots he was playing, he went for the lap sweep, he went for the reverse sweep, and he just looked like he wanted to be out there and he wanted to perform. And he's also an all-rounder. So probably RCB will be looking to blood him in at some stage as well. So RCB middle order and batting is not a big concern, but bowling definitely is a concern with Harshal Patel missing out. RCB will be really hoping that he comes back soon.
I think great to see a Goan player lighting IPL on fire. I think Sanjit and me, probably with the Goan connections we have, felt really proud of that. But Sanjay, I'll come to you now. Do you think that yesterday we probably saw a glaring problem in RCB's bowling lineup with probably without Harshal Patel, they look listless in the death overs and they do not have a second bowler to support someone like Harshal Patel in the death.
I think the glaring problem was not the death yesterday. They were 67 for 2 after 10 overs, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of 18, it was at 189. So practically, they were taken up for 122 runs in about 8 overs. So if you're going for 15 runs an over, right after the 10th over, right? I mean, the position that Chennai was yesterday, I would have expected them to end at about 155, 160, maybe 170 if they played well. But they scored at 20 runs more than that with 2 overs to spare. You cannot give out runs like those, you know. After, I mean, it was actually RCB's game. They could have controlled it. And after the 10 over mark, batsmen are usually trying to, build up. They're trying to take it to the end and play a few good shots eventually. But I will give credit to Shivam Dubey, right? Although a couple of shots were of the outside edge or whatever, he did play well. All right, he was reaching out for the ball and I'll just say a few balls that the RCB bowling wanted to bowl, they couldn't quite land it. All right, a couple of Yorkers that they missed on very easily hit out by Shivam Dubey. All right, even very good batting by Robin Uthappa. Someone even a couple of drop catches also yesterday seen. Yesterday's match looked like it was like, how do I say this? It was like how I and Jerin would play in school. We would only focus on getting good batsmen in because nobody cared about the bowlers. So it was like that yesterday. The bowler they could barely do anything. But Tikshana, I feel, bowled well. Okay, he was taken out for a couple of sixes. I think his second over. But even then, apart from that, I think as far as he was considered good bowling, RCB, as Abel said, will have a lot of positives to take away. 215 isn't would have been kind of a record chase. All right, so it would have been very tough to get there, but still getting close to almost 190. Dinesh Karthik has been great. Expect Kohli to fire now. Okay, it's been 4 5 matches, and this is where I think this is enough time for someone like a Kohli to start kicking in. But I'm glad to see someone like a Shahbaz Ahmed coming good with the bat. Okay, in 2 innings consistently and good clean shots. Suyash Prabhu Desai, I actually remember, I think you said in an earlier podcast also, actually remember even playing with him in your 14, 15. So he would come on into the nets, and I'll be honest, he wasn't the best of batsmen. Then there were better batsmen, they were better bowlers, but to see him play the level that he's playing, and I think I and Jerin both had our hearts in our mouth yesterday, hoping that okay, man, somewhere you represent Goa, so don't. I mean, somewhere we felt he should not suck it up,
Well,
but he
I have to
didn't.
say that I was guilty of wishing against him because CSK is my team. So I wasn't
Yeah.
happy the way he took us to cleaners.
I'll give it. I'll give it to you. But some good hitting as far as RCB is concerned. Glad to see Shivam Dubey come out well because I thought Shivam Dubey's career was maybe one IPL away from vanquishing, but that didn't happen. Good to see a good 90 from him. Almost deserved 100. I'll say that too. Great to see Robin Uthappa. I've always been a fan. Always felt he hasn't been treated in the best way possible. But it's good, always good to see him get some runs. And yesterday really wasn't a contest as far as bowling was concerned. So I've been talking about the Jerin problem Jerin was talking about. I think it exists from both sides. Just one batted slightly better and took a couple more chances than the other team did. But it was fun. Yesterday's match was more a Bollywood climax film than a lot of hitting around. Like Shahid Kapoor batting or something of that sort. But the bowlers like it just looked like it was just more like machines and they're bowling, but the batsmen wanted them to bowl. So
Yeah, I think it's true the fact that yesterday was not a baller's day at all. Close to 200 runs being scored is never a baller's dream. And the pitch also didn't behave like a baller's paradise. But I'll get to you, Sandipani. Do you think yesterday, that obviously CSK won the game, but do you think the fans shouldn't be at ease yet? Because, they're still given away 193 after getting the last, the kind of top order that RCB have. They still gave away quite a few runs to probably who could be called rookies of IPL.
No, as I said, that CSK don't have a fixed 11 as of yet. They are yet to find their best 11 that they do often. Like CSK is known for finding that stable 11 that continues to play in all the games. Like they don't alter with the 11 much. But this time around, I feel that the bowling unit they have to work on it. And I think RCB went wrong yesterday. The tactical decision to hold Hasaranga back misfired for them,
Right.
because they tried to hold him back for the death overs, but then again he was given just the 1 over in the death over itself. Uh, uh, you don't expect CSK to score 150 of the last 10 overs. They don't have, barring Jadeja, because Dhoni is also not in that kind of form that he can go and play that innings where like CSK will score 150, 160 in the last 10 overs. We haven't seen that from Dhoni in the last 2 to 3 years. So we don't expect CSK to score 150 runs when they don't have Moeen Ali or Jadeja playing them uh, playing a big knock in that innings. So Dubey and Robin Uthappa played out of this innings yesterday. I think they just got not exactly lucky. They were just hitting the ball well. Everything that they tried to do, it came off, and hence CSK got 217. Otherwise, if they would have got something around 199, 200, in the range of 200, I think it would have been a different game, and RCB would have chased it down. Especially with the intent that they showed in the middle overs, the pitch was not doing anything, because as we could see that Prabhu Desai coming in at number 6, uh, at such a critical situation when the spinners were bowling, he was hitting it from the first ball, and he was timing the ball well. He was like playing it on the up. So I don't think there was the pitch had anything for the bowlers. After the power play, of course, in the power play overs, we have seen that it is swinging a bit in all the games, almost all the games. So yeah, CSK does not have a balanced 11 as of now. So they will look to first uh, shuffle with their team combination, shuffle with their 11 a bit more, and in the coming games, probably in the next 2 or 3 games, they will find their best 11, and then we will see a lot more stability in the team.
Sandipani,
Over to
do
you,
you have anything
Abel.
else? Which team do you support?
KKR.
Okay, okay. I was have to check whether I can criticize you and how much I can criticize you. So
No, you can criticize me on the management thing. Like KKR does not have anything like fixed. They send in pinch hitters when and whenever they want. They don't have a fixed game plan as of the 14 seasons in the IPL. They had not had any fixed game plan for, they don't repeat their plans in consecutive matches.
if only
I
Brendan
mean,
McCallum was
KKR.
as tight as you are, we would have seen better results.
I mean, KKR is the only probably team in the history of cricket who had 3 to 4 captains at one time in the field. So you can't expect them to be very predictable at all. But I'll get over to you, Abel. Do you think now? I mean, looking at yesterday's match, obviously, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I think RCB did not do many things wrong. It was just great batting from Shivam Dubey and Uthappa that took the game away from them. But
Yeah.
what I'll ask you is this: I think, do you think it's time RCB's top order comes into the picture? Because except for probably that one game where Faf played, and even Anuj Rawat has been good. I mean, as good as you can expect a youngster playing his first IPL to be. But I think do you think they require a little bit more from the likes of Kohli and Faf? I think they haven't been contributing as much. And if they had yesterday, things could have been different.
I mean, if you talk about the Mumbai Indians game, the top order came into the picture where Anuj Rawat and Virat Kohli had that 140 runs partnership. So I don't think these things need to be, need to be really highlighted, because they've had, out of the 5 matches, 2 matches, top order came good. And if you expect top order to come good every match, then you're not going to give any batting practice to middle order. Then the question is going to be, what if on a bad day your top order fails? What will the middle order do? So it's a double-edged sword, right? Like we have spoken about India many a times, because our top order is so good. You expect Virat, Rohit, and Shikhar to score almost all the time, and when it mattered the most, our middle order did not come good. So that's the main issue with it. So I'm, as an RCB fan or as an analyst, I would say so far RCB would be pretty pleased, because Kohli also came good against Mumbai. And yesterday, Kohli, it was so unlike Kohli to go against Mahesh Chaudhary, and he got out in the deep mid wicket. So that's something which will happen in these 215 kind of chases, and the kind of intent. They'll be very pleased with the fact that from 50 for 4, they were able to take the score to 195, 193. So that's something really good. And also Maxwell is in good form as well, except for that, he also was looking to just go out there and swing. So but they would want Faf du Plessis to contribute a little bit more. That's one thing they'll be a little concerned about, because in the first match when Faf contributed, RCB scored 200 plus, and that's the kind of player he is as well. He can just, once he gets in, once he gets his eye in, right, he can just take away any bowler in the world out of the park. So that's one thing they'll be slightly worried about, but not as much. And when it comes to Anuj Rawat as well, he would need a little bit more of game awareness, especially you saw in yesterday's game. They had just lost a wicket and he tried to take on Mahesh Dikshana. That was so unnecessary at that point of time. And that's where I think as a player he'll learn with more of these games. When to when to target a baller, when to go after a particular baller as well. That's something you cannot buy in the market. That's something which you really learn as he plays more games. And that's one area he would like to improve. I would like him to improve in one particular area, is that game awareness, and that you have to give it to him. He's just a 21-year-old kid who's in the IPL for the first time, and he'll learn with time. And in the game against Mumbai Indians, he looked in sublime touch. He was timing the ball wrong in the park, and he knew that where to play shots as well. That's of course a huge positive. And you would need a left-hander in the top order, because most of the best teams, they have a left-hander in the top order. And if you have a left-hander in the top order, you wouldn't expect other teams to throw in leg spinner straight up and absolutely lock you down. And with Kohli and Duplessis having the trouble against leg spin, right? You will see most of the teams doing that. That's where Anuj Rawat is probably their weapon to tackle leg spinners or a bowler who's bowling into them. Uh, so far for RCB, that'll be the only area of concern as to Fab Duplessis also contributing on consistent basis. But I think they'll be pretty pleased with the middle order. Now they'll be pretty convinced that the middle order can contribute even in a bad situation. So they can absolutely go out there and express themselves as well. They would need to play the tentative bit of cricket where they feel that 6 overs, let's save the wicket, let's only score 40 to 35 runs. They can now absolutely go outside and let's score 55 to 60 runs. Even if we lose a couple of wickets, we have a good middle order to back us up. So that'll be a huge boost of confidence in terms of RCB is concerned.
All right. One final question before we go ahead to the next match. That is, you guys see, I've seen this trend now which has begun, where we've seen leg spinners especially ball in the 16th and the 17th over. Sandipani spoke about how Harsaranga balled yesterday. We had Jadeja ball the 16th over, and you've seen before Kuldeep Yadav do it for Delhi Capitals. Yuzvendra Chahal, where he spoke about him, and Rajasthan didn't do well. You think this is a new trend that is coming up? Because before you wouldn't see a spinner anywhere near the last 5. Sanjit, you have anything to say about that?
I'll be very honest. I will not call it a trend. I will feel some. Now, as far as maybe Hasranga or somebody is concerned, I'll say it really depends on who's batting. All right. So we have seen someone like a Rashid Khan a couple of times take the 16, 17 over responsibility, even the 19th a couple of times. It's nothing new. So it really depends on who's batting ahead and who's come up to bat, and it really all boils into the point whether you bowl an average performing medium pacer, or would you rather go with a high performing leg spinner? Right? Are you kind of still looking to give 10 runs and pick a wicket and maybe stop it right there? Or would you still manage? I mean, I will not call it a trend. Even someone like a Jadeja, he is he's someone who has always he's able to hold the runs. Correct. I do not see this as a trend. Also, somewhere I feel there has been a shortage of bowlers. Right. So teams that have had 6, 7, 8 bowling options have rarely gone with such kind of approach. But some people bowl only 5 bowlers, maybe 6 every now and then. Jadeja is the captain and is full of self-confidence. So I actually saw this happening. I thought maybe he will take up this responsibility to bowl in the 16, 17, 18, that maybe a couple of times. I also see Hasaranga taking in that role more than a couple of times. But as far as any other team is concerned, I really don't think the trend will catch up. But because if somebody takes cue and tries to do it, I feel it will not be in the interest of their team, because it is much easier hitting us. It's not Jadeja is a world-class bowler, right? Hasaranga is in very good form, but it will not be the same if Murugan Ashwin bowls the 17th over. He will go for 20, right? So I do not see this trend quite catching up, but I can see Jadeja and Hasaranga maybe doing that a couple of times more in the IPL.
All right. So then
just to add to that, I feel the mystery spinners. I feel the mystery spinners will also bowl in the 16, 17. Mahesh Dikshana or for KKR, Varun Chakravarti and Sunil Narayan has already done that role in the last few years as well. Like Sunil Narayan has bowled in the last 5 overs since he has bowled the year KKR won in 2014 also. He used to bowl in the last 5 overs. So it depends on the captain and the bowlers, the bowlers you trust to pull that off. So we'll see that.
I mean, it's also an attacking option to pick up wickets.
Sunil Narayan has a super over where he's balled a maiden, if I'm not wrong. So
he
is
someone in CPL.
I mean, let's not bring in the mystery spinners because they're a different breed altogether. And you would more often than not back a mystery spinner to bowl a super over or the death overs. And Rashid Khan is also of a similar breed. But if you talk about a conventional leg spinner or a conventional Chinaman ball like Kuldeep Yadav, who recently did in the 16th over, turning the game totally against KKR. So you expect these kind of ballers to be used as an attacking option. Chehel against Lucknow Super Giants was another example where he balled that over. That over could have gone anywhere. Even Avesh Khan came in and hit a six, but still he got a wicket over there. Even yesterday, Hasranka got a wicket over there. That's where I think these spinners can be very useful. It can be a left field call all of a sudden, and it'll work for you more often than not. On a bad day, of course, you'll go for more runs, but they will prefer a leg spinner or a mystery spinner in the death overs rather than a conventional off spinner, because conventional off spinner does not have a lot of tricks under his armory, right? He's going to be very predictable in terms of his lengths and in terms of where he's going to turn the ball as well. But when it comes to leg spinner, he has a googly, he has a wrong one, and he has a slider as well. And a mystery spinner has a couple of three or four variations with him. So that's where these bowlers will be given a preference over a Ashwin or over a Jadeja or over a Moeen Ali, over these kind of bowlers, I feel.
Also, I just
Exactly, but
just maybe I feel that somewhere it depends if you're batting first or batting second. I think batting first, you're going to see maybe the spinners being given that opportunity much lesser, because somewhere it's in the back of the mind. It is it is a risk. I might have to chase 10 runs more, but maybe if you have to defend maybe 16 4 hours, I can see that happening.
I
Right? So
think
very
especially
valid
leg
point.
leg spinners have gotten even better, especially the fact that they have started on the bowling cross seam leg spin and googly, because now it's not even easy to pick the seam and know whether the ball is going to turn in or not, because the cross seam is not allowing that. So I think that's probably one of the reasons again that it's not easy to pick a bowler when you're looking to attack every ball. And as Sanjeet mentioned, you might as well ball a bowler who's more skilled than someone who is just a mediocre, medium pace bowler. But yeah, let's just move on to today's match then. Mumbai Indians versus Punjab Kings. Mumbai Indians haven't opened their tally yet. The only team to not do so. But luckily for them, this IPL has been so much competitive that they're just 4 points away from the top. I mean, if I'm not wrong, I think the top team has 6 points at best.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
just 4 points. There's just 2 matches. I mean, there's just 3 matches behind. So this IPL has been that competitive, and that's probably why, and especially CSK winning yesterday has just made it even more messier. So Mumbai Indians have an opportunity. It's not like they're out yet, but then 10 teams for the top spot. It's not going to be easy for them to replicate their previous years where they had a little bit more opportunity probability wise. But do you guys now think, like, let's get to Sandipani now. Do you guys think there is an opportunity for Mumbai to turn it around like CSK did yesterday?
yeah, definitely. I think today Mumbai will win. I'm just calling it right now. I think Mumbai will defeat Punjab Kings today. Also, they need to. I think the qualification with 4 teams qualifying out of 10. I think you will have to have 16 points to qualify out of the 14 games. So basically, you have to win 8 out of the 14 to qualify. So Mumbai have a task on their hands. They have to win 8 of 10 to sort of assure their qualification. And we have seen Mumbai Indians do it like winning 7 or 8 of their last games. So you can never count out Mumbai Indians, but I don't see that happening this time around because there is no Jofra Archer.
Yeah.
And Mumbai Indians does not have a bowling attack. They don't have a pacer, a proper foreign pacer apart from Timal Mills. And Mills will go for runs. He'll give you the wickets, but he'll go for runs. He has not been very economical, and he has not been the new ball partner for what Mumbai was known for their fast bowling, the fast bowling, foreign fast bowling options that they had, say a Bolt or a Nathan Coulter Nile, that provided them with solid starts, picking up wickets in the power play. Timal Mills has not done that yet. Like he picked up just 1 wicket in the power play, and he was not used. He has not been used in the power play. Mumbai Indians are going with Basil Thampi in the power play, and he has not he's not been at his best. So Bumrah has been the sole. Also, Bumrah is having an off season. He has just picked up the 3 wickets that he picked up against Delhi. Other than that, in the other 3 games, he has gone wicketless. So also Mumbai does not have a proper spinner. I have said it again and again that Murugan Ashwin, if you are having just Murugan Ashwin in your team, he is not your he has not yet proved himself to be the leading spinner in an IPL franchise. He has got enough opportunities. He has already played the second fiddle to someone like in Punjab. He was the lead spinner for Punjab that in the last 2-3 seasons, but then Ravi Bishnoi took that role up and he became a second. He started playing a second fiddle to him. So that's been the case for Mumbai. I don't think they have the bowling to take them to the playoffs, but still their batting with Surya Kumar Yadav coming in and scoring runs, their batting looks sorted. I just think Brevis needs to give he has played two games now, and I feel that Team David deserves a chance more than him. Like Mumbai does not need a Devil Brevis at number 3 right now. Surya Kumar Yadav can come in at number 3, and they have an informed Tilak Verma to come in at number 4. So they need they can have Kyron Pollard and Team David as their number 5 and number 6. That gives them the explosiveness, the ammunition they need at the end.
Right.
Also, Fabian Allen can come in as the fourth foreign bowler or the fourth foreign player.
Right.
They are playing
Yeah,
with only three foreigners. They played only three foreigners in the
But
last game,
today
so
they're
I
just
think
playing. They're playing. Last time they played with 2. Today they're playing with 3. And Timon Mills is back for
okay,
Ramandeep Singh today.
I think
okay, yeah.
one
So
thing, yeah, yeah. So I think Mumbai probably there's a lot of changing and chopping and changing that's happening in Mumbai, and players are not playing a lot of matches consistently, and that's an issue that's creeping into them. I think probably looking at their option when we had reviewed it, we had a conversation that they're probably looking to build for the next 5 years and not just concentrating on this one IPL. But now I think somewhere in the middle after losing, maybe after they lost the first 2 matches, there's a sort of uncertainty that has creeped in. They have been chopping and changing quite a bit. If you brought Tim David, I feel for a certain role, you should probably put him in some more trust. He isn't a bad player by any means. We know what he can do. Maybe put a little bit more trust into him rather than chopping and changing. I think David Brew is a little young to start in an IPL yet. He isn't obviously at the peak level of his career. I mean, taking nothing away from him. He played well, but he isn't someone who's gonna continue playing for more than probably 20-30 balls at this stage. You need him to play a little bit more. And the kind of Mumbai batting that they've had, probably Tim David might not be a bad option. Give him some confidence. But let's talk about Punjab Kings. I think next they've had a very traumatic game, if I can use the word for them. They brought it towards the end, very close. I mean, 12 out of 2 balls, you mostly will back your ball. You just have to ball one ball, which doesn't go for 6. So you basically have to ball one good ball. And unfortunately for them, Rahul Tewatia who's been the nemesis for quite some time, just took the game away from them. So, Abel, now what do you think from there? How did they come into this game? Do you think they will be a bit low on confidence?
See, I don't think they should be low in confidence because of 2 reasons. These kind of incidents don't take place every time in the IPL. It's just one of those freak incidents
I
which
think
take.
unless if they're playing Rahul Tewatia,
Yeah,
then
yeah,
only
this is the
certain
second time for
cases.
them. But even if you look at that Sharjah game, it was not like 2 of 12 balls. By the time Rahul Tewati's onslaught was over, they were well under control. And then what I had to do was to finish the game off in pretty good. And Jofra Archer came in and finished the game off for them. But if you look at last time around, Dane Smith, he's someone who they've backed so much. They've backed him to the tilt, and now I expect them to also back him for the coming game. I'm not sure if he's playing today. I think he's playing. Let me just look at the 11. I think, yeah, I think he's still the 11, and it's very clear that they want him to come out there and do well because of 2 reasons. He's someone who can still win a match for them from a situation like where they've absolutely lost it. Like you saw in the game against Royal Challengers Bangalore, he came in and scored 25 of 8. And that's one of the reasons they're backing him. Secondly, now at least they would not ball him in the death overs. You've seen him that he does not have the ammunition to ball in the death overs. He does not have the variation to go out there and ball in the death overs. I don't think he has a Yorker. Neither does he have a slower one, which will probably deceive the batsman. So if you do not have these 2 variations, then it's going to be a very tough task for you to bowl in the death overs. And they will not
but then
probably.
again, my question is, when will you bowl him? Like if you
He'll bowl in the
won't bowl
middle
him in the
overs.
death overs,
He'll probably bowl
but
in the
he
middle
goes
overs.
for runs in the middle overs as well.
Yeah, I
He
don't think
goes
they'll
for
ball
10,
him.
12 runs in the middle overs as well.
I don't think they'll ball him for like 4 overs. They'll possibly ball only 2 overs at max. And considering that they have other bowling options as well, someone like Liam Livingston, who's doing pretty well around the world when it comes to his bowling efforts, they'll possibly use him in place of Orient Smith. They've just used him as an X factor player. I still believe in this team. What they'll do is what should be the ideal 11 is they should possibly bring in Rajapaksha instead of Orient Smith. Because now Lane Livingston offers them with the ball, that 6 bowling option shouldn't be a concern. And they can possibly bring in someone like a Rishi Dhawan, who has done exceedingly well in the domestic circuit this season. He's also fast bowling all rounder. I think he'll offer more with the bat rather than Orient Smith. Orient Smith has just offered them with the bat in 1 game. If you look at the other 3 games, he's gotten out for not twice, if I'm not wrong. So if you look at that kind of consistency, it's definitely not good in investing in a number 6 like Orient Smith. That's my take on it. But if you have to talk about Punjab's perspective, today they're batting first. It's going to be a challenge for them to post a huge score because they know that their bowling attack is still not yet a complete bowling attack. Even with the likes of Rabada, they still have many holes. If you look at the other fast bowlers like Arshdeep Singh, Vaibhav Arora, they're still young, right? And they're going to be coming up against someone like a Rohit Sharma and Ishan Kishan. If they get going, they can go for a plenty as well. So that's where I think Punjab will be looking at somewhere around 180, 190 to make sure that they're settled. They feel much more comfortable as a batting unit. And I think Punjab should just go out there and play the game they're known to play. I know that they have a certain template at which what they're following, and especially because Mumbai's bowling attack, they'll fancy their chances even more.
I think they've looking at the way they've played, the template that they've played is like their pants are on fire and they need to really run and rush through the pavilion. But it's worked for them because even on the days when they lose
I'll just
wickets
put in a
in slump,
question.
yeah.
Are you guys a little surprised that Murugan Ashwin is Mumbai's number 7? Because that means you only are batting till number 6 and your tail starts at number 7.
That is an interesting point. I think if the only other team that reminds me of a similar batting lineup is someone like Rajasthan. But looking at, and we
But
spoke
Ashwin is a
about
better
it.
batsman than I
Correct,
think
correct.
Murugan Ashwin.
So we spoke about it in the auction as well. The fact that if you have only batting till, you only six, probably seven, eight batsmen are coming into bat, then when you're losing wickets in clump, then you suddenly are on the back foot, and that's what been happening.
All the more reason I would play Team David ahead of Devil Brevis. Because
Yeah.
you are sending in your most informed player at number 4 when he's not getting to play the majority of the ball. See, Mumbai will, if Ishan Kishan or Rohit Sharma, one of them fires and Devil Brevis comes in at the end of the power play, Surya Kumar Yadav and Tilak Verma will not get to bat until the 10th over. I don't understand that. If you are playing Devil Brevis, at least push him down the order, give him the role of finishing the game for them. Bringing him as a pinch hitter at number 3, especially when you have two informed batsmen at number 4 and number 5, and Pollard can do the finishing at number 6. So I don't understand why you have to push Devil Brevis at number 3 right now.
I think to be fair, I agree with him. I agree with Sandipani as well. But talking about Abel's point from earlier, I think there has been an issue for Mumbai, the fact that their batting hasn't clicked as well as they would like to. If your openers are doing well, or if your top order is doing well, then that is still something that you get away with. Like how Rajasthan has been getting away with for quite some time because their top order is doing really well. But Mumbai's probably issue has been that the top order has been not doing well, and because of that, suddenly their batting ends up with no depth, and that's when the depth comes into play. And in 120 balls, you probably can expect that kind of batting line to still do well because you probably need a little bit more options for bowling. But if your openers are not doing well, if your top order is not doing well, suddenly your lower order is left with a lot of balls to play, and that's when it starts coming to picture. So once the top order comes back into form, we might not be seeing it this question. Okay, and I'll get to you, Sanjeet. Now, these are obviously your favorite team, but this year hasn't been their year, Mumbai. I think so. Looking at the bowling now, we spoke about obviously how Bumrah isn't having a great season, but I think there's a lot of pressure on him as well. How much do you think Bumrah's lack of support on the other end? Because Bumrah's always had support whenever he played for them. Even before, we've always had a good or if a better than decent fast bowling backup for them. A second new bowler, something like a Mitch McClenaghan comes to mind when Malinga was there, and then you've had Trent Bolt do an amazing job, but they are not there anymore. And do you think Mumbai probably lacked in not finding someone there and probably did not pick someone in the auction, and they haven't even looked at someone like Riley Meredith? So do you think Mumbai isn't fishing too much into the resources, or they just don't have the resources for that?
As far as I'm concerned, I feel they're looking. It looks like they can see something we can't. All right. So either it is just their belief or them blindly just trusting the decision about something, being a little egoistic about it and saying this is what we want to stick to. All right. Or it is probably they are that visually equipped to see something maybe in a basal thumpy that maybe I cannot see. Okay, that is number one. As far as Jasprit Bumrah goes, I feel in fact, I can't remember or recollect the last time I've seen a world-class bowler do well without having any kind of backup. All right. The only time when Bumrah can do well is if this other side is also not leaking runs. All right. If they can hold one end, that is when Bumrah makes a difference. All right. So if Mumbai is scoring 150 runs, you might as well just make Bumrah bowl 4 overs and not score a single run of him. It is still going to favor the other team over Mumbai Indians because it's much easier to score off a Basil Thampi or an Unatkar or a Murugan Ashwin. right? I think it is similar to when they started with the New Zealand match, the New Zealand series, where Williamson, Kapil, the New Zealand top order was just playing Bumrah out. Like they didn't mind, just tapping the ball around, getting a single every now and then, trying to push the ball here and there. Like they weren't trying to drive the ball against Bumrah at all. And somewhere I feel, as for a bowler of his class, there is some amount of frustration involved, which obviously maybe he doesn't show, of not being able to get a result. Right? Although no matter how much him or cricketers talk about the process or doing things right or consistency, if there is no result, it will frustrate him. And no matter how much truth whatever I said has, at the end of the day, Rohit Sharma or Shane want they want Bumrah to give 15 runs and take 3 wickets. And if he's not able to do that, although it very heavily depends on who's bowling with him and how they are bowling also, at the end of the day, Bumrah is in the team to do that for him. And if he's not able to do it, then I mean, of course, I would call it somewhat, some sort of a failure because you're not getting what you want out of, Jasprit Bumrah. As far as the batting goes are concerned, I mean, I've been very sad that Surya Kumar Yadav has been put into a position where he has to do something special every now and then, not to put up a winning total, but to just save shame for the team, all right? And take and take nothing away. In fact, I had a friend message me last week saying, "What the hell, man? This team does not deserve Surya." I was like, wait a minute, this team is also the team that revived his career. So I will not go as far as to say that. Right? Also, maybe, many people said the same about when Rohit Sharma was bought in 2011 for $2 million, saying really Rohit Sharma over Saurabh Tiwari. And I see a lot of that going on about Dewal Brevis also. All right. But I am sure that Mumbai management or the think tank, whoever is responsible to make the decisions, they haven't gone for an under 19 player simply. So if they've put money for him, I'm very confident that they are going to back him, and I'm very confident. I just feel somewhat that the Tim David decision, okay, to take him in. I feel Tim David needs to play because he has turned games on his head alone. If when he's played the Big Bash League, all right. I just wonder if the kind of pitches he's playing on, or the kind of cricket he's playing, or the opposition is playing, is very different as to what he faced in other tournaments around the world. All right. So that needs to be seen if that is a problem, because of course we do not have enough footage of behind the scenes of what's happening in the nets, or the kind of performances he's putting up. Maybe they do, but I'm sure it would have been a tough call to make someone like a Tim David sit out. Okay, that's number one. Number two, Deval Brevis is 2 games old. Right. In one game, he had a very nice 29 and 15 deliveries, looked good. Right. So he is not the kind of player who will score at 110. Right. So he will give the 140, 150 strike. I feel the problem has been Rohit Sharma and Ishan Kishan, more so Ishan Kishan. You cannot be 10 overs into the game and you have 25 out of 25. Right?
Yeah.
That is just too much work for a 19-year-old coming after you, another 19-year-old coming after that, and a Surya Kumar Yadav coming in. All right. So that is not possible. You cannot go away with 30 or 35 runs in the power play and then get out. Right. And then expect two young people who are just still trying to find their place or still trying to adapt. In fact, I feel it's lucky for them that they are not, playing in 100% crowd. Otherwise, there is a lot of pressure for two 19-year-olds to take in. Right. So, I mean, I feel somewhere Ishan Kishan, though he is young, he has played enough cricket to take responsibility. And for the price that, I'm not a believer of the fact that, price does not put pressure on you. Then there would have been no reason for, the auction and things like that to take place. You are paid and you are, awarded that kind of money, so have to take responsibility towards the team. Okay. You are in a role that where, previously people like Mike Hussey and Lendl Simmons used to sit. Right?
Yeah.
You are given that role now. So somewhere we expect you to at least put up consistency. If you do not put up a performance, you are expected to not take a game to a level where leave 3 people to fend for their lives and take the team to a respectable total. So yeah, I still feel that Tim David should have been a part of this team, but then you compromise with your bowling, which is already I'll call it par because Bumrah still plays for them. All right. Apart from that, as far as also spoke about they're looking for the next 5 years, right? I really don't think that's the case because as far as how much ever the way the team has played, the number one aim has to win the next game, right? And that isn't happening. So somewhere, of course, I will take into consideration that this team isn't the team that it used to be. A lot of the players have been taken away, and of important positions like you can't take away number 5 and 6 like Hardik and Kunal Pandya practically taking away 6 overs and maybe 40 runs in 25 deliveries right every game. You can't take away Trent Bulls basically having 2 wickets less every game. But then they got taken away, right? And the amount that they have spent in even Ishan Kishan, right? And then again spending about 8 crores on like someone like a Team David. I'm sure it must have been tough on them to make a Team David set out. But if they're making a Deval Perez play in place of him, I'm sure they have something in mind. I just feel that if this is the case, why not push maybe Nishan Kishan at number 5 and have Surya open the innings? Because that's where he started getting his runs when he started playing for Mumbai Indians. He, irrespective, doesn't matter how good Umesh Yadav will bowl, he will take that ball to the boundary. Right? He will give Rohit Sharma that kind of time. The strike at which he will play will give Deval Perez a couple of balls to come in. Tilak Varma has been hitting the ball well. And maybe why not Ishan Kishan at number 5? He's done a wonderful job with Pollard, in last season with IPL, I believe, or even the last season. No, last season of IPL. He's had a good 90 runs, 99 runs, maybe 50, 60 now and then. So, I mean, I feel Ishan Kishan, given the luxury of 120 balls, has been taking a lot of time, but we're not given the luxury plays as to how he has to play. And I feel that is a role better suited for him. But the management supports him opening, so I'll just leave it at that. But somewhere I feel it is unjust on Mumbai Indians and on Surya Kumar Yadav and maybe Tilak Varma to be put down, having maybe 50, 55 balls for the team to play and want to be able to get those 125 runs. Because that happens maybe once in 5 games, but expect them to do that every game. That is unfair on what they bring to the table and the way they've been performing. So I if I was in maybe Rohit Sharma's place, I would make that change in lineup. But it depends to see as to what Rohit Sharma does. Or Rohit Sharma is known to go down to number 4 himself and maybe put maybe a Surya Kumar on top. Because Surya Kumar and Ishan also have opened a couple of times in the IPL, done a good job. So I'm assuming a change in lineup today. The fact that the team hasn't been changed, but there has to be something different, and it has to work for them, or there has to be a change in approach by a couple of batsmen, and that has to happen. If that doesn't happen, then I find I'm sorry, but my team looks, it doesn't even look good on paper, and it looks like they're going to have a very tough time coming in, even in the next 5 years.
I think fair point. I think one probably the issue being the fact that someone like Ishan Kishan is not giving himself too much importance, if that's the right way to put it. I think he's the Ishan Kishan we know was someone who was very fearless in the last season. He did not give any worries about losing his wicket. It was all about scoring runs, and that's why Mumbai was so successful with it. But now I think he's being a bit more he's being overcautious. He isn't looking to attack, and that's not helping Mumbai's cause at all. But I think aside from that, and probably putting him in number 5 might remove his worry. Giving him less balls might, concentrate, streamline his thinking into scoring runs. But I'll go to you, Sandipani, and I think we've spoken about how much in the past, especially how much Punjab has been chopping and changing. They haven't ever stayed uniform about their lineup. Probably one exception is the 2014 year where they were really successful. But aside from that, the moment they have failures, they try to chop and change. But now they have backed Odean Smith, even after a loss, which isn't a bad loss actually. It was a very close match, but this is unlike Punjab, where they have retained a player. They've backed a player who hasn't been doing that well consistently. So, do you think this is a Mayank Agarwal effect, where he's bringing a little bit more stability to the Punjab lineup? And he even went on to say that we back Odean Smith. We believe he's someone who can win his matches, and everyone has an off day.
Yeah, it's very uncharacteristic of Punjab to go with Oden Smith today. I expected because in the last game I think Jitesh Patel got injured at some point while fielding, so I thought that Rajapaksha will come in for Jitesh, and then Oden Smith will give way for either Sandeep Sharma or Rishi Dhawan. But it was not to be. I think it's good that they're trusting with Oden Smith. Everybody can have a bad game. Even Mukesh Chaudhary had a bad game yesterday. And Akashdeep also had a bad game. Does not mean that RCB and CSK are going to replace them in the next one. But having said that, I just continuing on Sanjeet's point, I think Mumbai Indians are not going to change their lineup today. They will open with Ishan Kishan and Rohit Sharma. Speaking about the approach, I think Punjab, even though Abel said that Punjab Kings have a 5th bowling and a 6th bowling option stability with Liam Livingstone, I feel that that is not enough. Mumbai Indians will target the 8 overs of Vaibhav Arora and the fifth and sixth bowling option of Odin Smith and Liam Livingston. They will probably show respect to Rabada and not Bishnu exactly, Chahar.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rahul Chahar. So Rahul Chahar and Rabada have been in good form. I think they will show respect to these two bowlers. Arshdeep is a very good bowler at the death overs, as we saw in the case of in the game against Gujarat. He was nailing those Yorkers. It was only because of him that Punjab Kings could make a sort of change in momentum in that game. Speaking of which, I think in the 8 overs that will be bowled by Vaibhav Arora and Liam Livingston or Odin Smith, Mumbai are going to capitalize on it and score at least 12 or 13 runs per over in those overs. They are going to target. That is going to be their approach in while batting. Also depends on what target has been set for them. We all know that Punjab Kings are going to come out all guns blazing, and they will probably play it like a 10 over or 15 over game, like they have always done. But again, speaking about game, I think Shah Rukh Khan and Odin Smith needs to realize that what is their role. Like you can't come in the ninth or 10th over and go at it like try to finish score 200 in 15 or 16 overs. You have to settle like get yourself in, target one or two bowlers. Like that game awareness has been missing for Punjab. Mayank Agarwal has not been performing. And Shah Rukh Khan and Odin Smith, they need to target bowlers and not go for all the bowlers. Even Liam Livingston, I think they have been a bit one-dimensional in the way in their approach, in their hitting approach. They have gone for it. Like they have shown no respect to any bowler. In the game against KKR, Umesh Yadav was brought in for 1 over to pick up a wicket, and he did because Liam Livingston went after him. Similarly, it has been the case in the game against in the last game also. Like Shah Rukh Khan and Shah Rukh Khan tried to take on Rashid Khan. You have to understand which bowlers you can target and which bowlers you have to show that respect, pick up singles and just play them off. So I think their approach has to change if they have to win against Mumbai. Otherwise, I am backing Mumbai to win this one.
I think fair point too. When you have ballers come up against you, you need to show them some respect because even though it's a white ball game, calculated risk is required, and not high risk batting requires a bit of calculated risk as well. But over to you, Abel. We spoke about how Murugan Ashwin is probably not your gun spinner and how they probably need someone to step up, or how Bumrah needs a supporting bowler. But we'll just look at Punjab's bowling attack, and they probably had an issue with the fact that I think Punjab is giving runs away at 9.13 overall, and that isn't a good run rate, given the fact that obviously it's been difficult. But their bowling attack is only worse to Mumbai, who's been giving it 9.41. Do you think that the issue comes during the middle overs when they don't have a supporting spinner, the likes of Rahul Chair? Because Rahul Chair has been doing exceptionally well, but he could do even better if they have someone who could be maybe a better spinner for them, a better potential than someone like Amarpreet Roy.
Right, true. If you talk about the two teams who have considered most amount of runs in the middle overs, it's because of the lack of spinner out there. Let it be Mumbai Indians or let it be Punjab Kings. I think with Mumbai Indians also it's a similar case. I think having just one spinner in your lineup will never fetch you wickets or will never help you to control runs through the middle overs of the game. And when it comes to Punjab Kings, they do not have another option other than Rahul Chair. They had invested heavily on Rahul Chair because of the fact that they believe that he's going to give them at least 15 wickets this season, if not maybe 20. So if you're investing in such a ball, they were expecting Harpreet Brar to give him support, but which he did not. If you look at his first couple of games, he went for plenty as well, and he not bowled with a lot of control. Now, who do they have? Who do they turn to? They do not have another option to turn to as well. So that's where Punjab is struggling in terms of the spinner. When it comes to Mumbai, I still think their ideal 11 will be when Sanjay Yadav comes into the 11. He's done exceedingly well in Tamil Nadu Premier League, and also given his domestic record, he's a bowler who can bat quite well. And I believe Mumbai's ideal 11 will be formed when he bats at number 7. And I still not know why he's not been slotted in at number 7. If not him, at least Fabian Allen should be slotted at number 7. You need two good spinners to operate in the middle over, or at least one spinner or another spinner to back him up. But Mumbai just have one spinner, and same case with Punjab as well. Punjab, I reckon they should use Liam Livingston a lot more. I think he's been way too underrated as a bowler. He can bowl both to a right-hander and left-hander. To a left-hander, he bowls really good off spin. To a right-hander, he's developed a googly as well when it comes to his leg spin bowling. So that speaks volumes of the bowler he is, and that's where I reckon Punjab is underused Liam Livingstone. If you talk about the game against Chennai Super Kings, Punjab Kings used Liam Livingstone pretty well, and he picked them up a couple of wickets as well. I think Punjab will be looking to use Liam Livingstone in this game as well. It depends on how he'll turn up. If he turns up pretty well, it's going to be good for Punjab to control the middle overs. And Rahul Chahar will be having a point to prove against his former teammates as well. So that's going to be an interesting game to watch out from that perspective. But just talking about the Bumrah's bowling, let me highlight how Bumrah has just picked up 3 wickets. But if you look over the years, Bumrah has always done well when he has had a support cast near to him. There'll be Trent Bolt, there'll be Malinga, there'll be Mitchell Johnson with Malinga. Mumbai Indians for the first time has been bowling with just Bumrah and no other support bowler. I don't think Trent Bolt is an opening bowler who supports Bumrah. If Bumrah has always picked up wicket when there's an opening bowler who's there to support Bumrah. Let it be, as I mentioned about Malinga as well. Malinga used to give him that support from the other end, or let it be Trent Bolt as well. In first time, not probably 8 years, or maybe since their inception, they're playing with just one solo bowler opening and no other big name. If you talk about Mumbai in 2008, they had Malinga and Sean Pollock. If they talk about 2010, they had Zahir Khan and Malinga. There'll be Mitchell Johnson and Malinga 2013, McLennan and Malinga in 2015. So they always had that bowler to support Malinga, but for the first time they did not have that. That's one of the reasons why Mumra has not been able to pick up wickets as well. We've also seen that with Bumrah in Indian team as well. When Mumra does not have a Bhuvneshwar Kumar or Shami from another end, when it comes to one day cricket, we have gone for almost close to 20-30 games where we've not picked up wickets in power players at all. And Bumrah hasn't been up with wickets when it comes to Indian team as well, in the white ball format especially. Because Bhuvneshwar Kumar was out of rhythm, Mohammad Shami was not in the team, and Bumrah has to do the solo job alone. Bumrah always, feeds off his bowler in the other end. Bumrah is not a bowler who will go out there and pick up wickets. That which means pressure is opened up in another end. Bumrah has to go out there and ball dot ball. Bumrah gets the benefit of another ball. There's no doubting Bumrah's skill as a bowler, but Bumrah is someone who used to always pick up wickets when the pressure is created from another end. That's been missing this year. This year, what used to happen is that Bumrah used to bowl the first over really well, but from the other end, Basil Thambi and Umnath Kant has been reaching runs quite consistently for Mumbai Indians. And also, I feel Bumrah has not been used ideally by Mumbai Indians. They've held Bumrah back more often than not. I think Bumrah should be used at least 3 or 2 overs in the power play. That's where Rohit Sharma has missed a trick as well this year. Maybe going forward, at least, Bumrah should be used 3 to 2 overs in the power play and see where things go. If you're going to, I know they're taking an approach where they believe that they can possibly contain runs in the death overs, but that's not going to work out this year at least. This year he's your prime strike bowler and he should be used up front, maybe a couple of overs, and that's where maybe pressure will build up in another end and they can possibly lose wicket to another bowler. So this should be possibly another strategy which Mumbai Indians should try out in this game at least.
Fair point. Yeah. All right, guys. I think the match is scheduled to begin soon, so I think that'll be all from us today. Mumbai Indians have won the toss and elected to ball first, so that's a good news. I think toss is going their way as well. In the last, yeah, Sanjay.
And they've conceded a boundary.
I think, but yeah, I mean, the toss has also been going against Mumbai Indians. We've been speaking about how Mumbai haven't been doing that well, but toss has been an important factor. They've lost 3 tosses. This is probably the second toss that they've won. So hopefully, this is a start for good tidings for Mumbai Indians fans. We'll be catching you tomorrow on the other side with the next match tomorrow and review of today's match. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, guys. All right, see you tomorrow.
Bye bye.
Thanks, Oliver.
Bye.